Why does writing a book take so long? Why am I not writing faster? Why didn't I get as much done as I wanted to? Am I doing this wrong? All of these questions are questions I come up against a lot as a writing coach, and I have so much sympathy for them. But if you know me, you know I love using the manifesting path down the chakras to help support and to help us understand the creative writing process. And so I wanted to give a little bit of classic wisdom about why it takes longer than we want it to write our books, why it can sometimes be hard to finish. And so first and foremost, I'm just going to go through the chakras in the way this works. So crown chakra in the this is the feminine manifesting path, and it goes down the chakras. So in this system, we start with the crown, the halo of the writing process, which is our connection to something larger than ourselves, our connection to spirit, our connection to God. This is where we get those whispers of inspiration. So crown chakra is whispers of inspiration, part of the process. Next, we have our third eye. This is the place we dream from. This is the place where we both have the fantasy and the strategy of our creative writing process. We can see it, we can outline it, we can know where we're going on a map right here in the third eye. Next is the throat chakra, the playful place of the creative process. This is where we say what we need to say. We don't censor, we don't inner critic, we just get it out. We express at the throat. Then the heart chakra is where we love our creative project into being, we nurture it, we change its diapers, and we come back to our book on a regular basis, weekly, daily, whatever is the best rhythm for our own creativity. After that, we've got the solar plexus. I know you can't see it anymore, but solar plexus is just a little ways down from the heart. And this is where we go pro. This is where we have the follow through of the book, the editing of the book, and it is the professional power center of the book. So one of the reasons we can be free when we express ourselves in the throat energy center, well, it's because we are going to put on our professional goggles on and look at everything once we get to the solar plexus. Sacral chakra is birthing the book, and then root chakra is growing out like the roots of the tree, growing that audience, spreading that message, all of the good stuff. So here is the secret of why it sometimes takes longer than we think it's gonna to write our book. So one thing I've heard, and I think many people who are in this energy center, energy practitioner business like I am, creatives are very open in the upper chakras, and the upper chakras move really fast. The idea, the ideation, the inspiration happens really fast. And when we're in that upper chakra fantasy of what's possible, man, we have one cappuccino like me, and all of a sudden we are a rock star and we've done it all. And the thing is that in the energy of creating something and grounding it in the world, really doing the practical parts to follow all the way through, the energy gets denser at every stage. When you have the draft of a book, that takes a lot more power to move that energy than it is to just come up with a lot of ideas. And so we're slowing down at every stage. And sometimes we can feel a little bit blocked and we can think we're not moving fast enough, when really the most efficiently we can move through the creative process is going with that flow, going with the energy and flow. So with that in mind, I have 3 wonderful tips for spiritual tips, I think, because I think everything is spiritual, but spiritual tips to move us out of a creative rut. Because if we allow ourselves to get blocked, if we allow ourselves to give up and those kinds of things, then that's going to make the creative process take a lot longer than it needs to. And we want to keep the energy flowing at every chakra stage of the process. So here we go. My 3 tips. So Learn how to rest, not to quit. Oh my gosh, did I have to learn that? And oh my gosh, am I so much better at it than I was before? Because the fastest way to out of a writing rut is just to be able to know when you're pushing and to stop pushing. This can be scary until you get the hang of it, because a lot of times the reason we push ourselves too far, we wear ourselves out. And when you wear yourselves out or burn yourself out, that's when it starts to get really slow. That's when it starts to get really hopeless. And so this practice of recognizing when you're really having to push in order to get diminishing returns, rest. I actually just took a really big rest yesterday, and here I am on my third YouTube video, making it to schedule it out in the future. And so if I can testify personally to saying that this works, I would like to do that. I would like to testify that it really does work, because if you can rest, then you will renew your energy, and in the long haul, it is going to make you give up less. It is going to make you more energetic, more creative, and more able to connect new ideas in unique ways. And then you're going to just be able to build more momentum and develop for the future. So tip number 1, learn how to rest, not to quit. If you need that reminder, there it is. Second, this is the most spiritual because it's from the last chapter of Eckhart Tolle's book, The New Earth, A New Earth. And so chapter 10 of that book, I have listened to so many nights. He's like my bedtime story before I go to sleep. So when I'm feeling anxious, I just re-listen to these chapters in that book. And so I can tell you about the 3 modalities of awakened doing. This is so helpful for creatives. I just want to spread the good news. So in the last chapter of Eckhart Tolle's book, he talks about the 3 modalities of awakened doing. Please be sure to keep yourself within one of these modalities, because as Eckhart Tolle says, if you step outside of these modalities, then you're going to find yourself in struggle. You're going to find yourself in pain. You're going to find yourself in ego. And so this is actually just a super simple way to make sure that your ego is not running the show. So what are the 3 modalities? Number 1, acceptance. So often we are doing something we just don't want to do, but we have to do it. He uses the example of changing a flat tire in the rain. Accept the fact. Don't struggle against it. Don't say, oh, I wish this was different. Oh, this never should have happened in this alternate universe where it's not happening. If it's happening, accept it. Accept it as it is. And so for those of us who are working a day job that we may not love, while we're moving into another place where a more creative career we might be dreaming of. I remember when I was in that space, acceptance, acceptance, acceptance. Accept where you are. That will help you to get that work done more efficiently. Do what you need to do efficiently. Don't struggle. Don't complain. Don't blow up the ego around it. Just accept. Now, the second is enjoyment. So this is the most important, and it's so important for writers. So often as writers, we can future trip. We can start to think, oh my goodness, when I'm a famous writer, I'm going to pay all my bills. I'm going to fall in love, and everything in my life that is not easy right now is going to be easy at that time in the future. And it's not true. It's all we have is the enjoyment of the process. And so writing, when you love it, you love it. And also that takes the risk factor out of it. So often the thing that is scary about creativity is we start to future trip. What will people say? What if it doesn't work? How do I know if this is going to be successful? Those are all getting us out of the enjoyment of the process, which is insanely productive, insanely flow and creative producing. So what we want to do is when we're in the process, we don't want to future trip and think about the future. We want to be in the moment and really enjoy what's in front of us. That's the second modality of awakened doing according to Eckhart Tolle. And the third one is enthusiasm. He talks about enthusiasm as when the spirit fills you and you have a vision for the future. You just have a lot of momentum. And all of us who are passionate, we know this. Perhaps from kind of the energy I put in my videos, you can tell I'm very enthusiastic. But when we're really filled with spirit, he talks about the root word being theos, which is God. We're kind of filled with spirit, and we're just part of this plan of something greater than ourselves. And so this is after enjoyment, contentment in, chop wood, carry water of writing, then we can go into enthusiasm, where passion starts to spurt out of us from all directions. And believe me, after that happens for a couple weeks in a row, we've got to go back to learn how to rest and not to quit, because nobody can live all of their time in enthusiasm. I promise, or at least from my perspective, I don't think it's a good idea. And then, so those were the 3 modalities of awakened doing within my 3 ways to get out of the creative rut. So I've done 2, learn how to rest, not to quit. The second one is 3 modalities of awakened doing. I hope you're not getting totally tangled in these numbers I'm throwing out here. But finally, we've got always know your next right action. And when that next right action seems too big, seems too overwhelming, break it down into tiny actions. I feel like the only reason, I say this about a lot of things, but one of the only reasons I'm still in business is because I always do my next right action. I don't know anything else, but I do know my next right action. Next right action is a Buddhist term about just doing the work that is in front of you, doing the next best thing you can do for this world in which we live. And so when you break down your next right action, and if you find yourself procrastinating or overwhelmed by it, make sure that you just break it down into smaller actions. And I think when it comes to why am I not writing faster, so often we'll say, okay, today I'm going to write chapter 1, better get it done. But then we realize, oh my gosh, who are the characters in chapter 1? What are the teaching points I'm going to cover in chapter 1? And then we put these expectations upon ourselves to write chapter 1 when chapter 1 needs to be broken down into scenes, into turning points, into characters, into setting, and all of the different little parts that you need to doodle around before you get into chapter 1. And so next right action, but don't put pressure on yourself. That doesn't work. Break it down into doable parts. And so if you have enjoyed this video, be sure and sign up for the Writing and Yoga Staycation. It's full of prompts and I have it right below. And I'd also like to tell you about something called the Thriving Author Summit that is also coming up, and you can sign up for that too. I am one of the privileged guests on that beautiful summit, which will have all sorts of fun ways for you to get deeper into your writing process. So I put out videos just like these every single Friday, so make sure and get some dedicated writing time in this weekend. So much love. Talk soon.